Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, you just got back. People will recognize your background now if they're watching instead of listening. How's it going?
It's going well. It was nice to get some minor league baseball watching the Reds on the road too is always fun. And the Reds, keep on having good weeks for the last 2 weeks, so that's good.
Yeah, no, maybe we just need to send you out of town more often.
Could be the move.
It could be the move. Yeah, I mean, today is going to be an interesting one, Joe. We'll do our question of the day as always. Update them on the games, some big injury updates. The Reds made some very small moves. And then there's rumors the Reds won't make any moves. And then we're going to talk a little Wade Miley and some Twins and Cardinals. So a jam-packed day, a lot to go over for this Reds team. But yeah, let's start with our question of the day, Joe, which is, do you think the Reds will end up making a trade, especially if they are in contention? I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so you guys let us know what you think in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe as well so you guys don't miss out on any of the great Reds content we have coming out here every week. Yeah, every week, guys. Every Monday. Let's get into it here, Joe. It was a fun, interesting week is what I'm going to call it. The Reds started off against the Guardians, needing only one win to secure the coveted Ohio Cup, Joe. And the Reds would go out and get it done. This week was interesting. The Reds would fall down, and they would keep battling. The Reds scored, let me count this here, 6 runs, 1 run per inning between the 2nd and the 7th against the Guardians, with 16 hits, mostly singles. But the Reds would win 7-4 on Wade Miley's start here. TJ Friedl with a home run, Fraley with a home run, Ellie and Connor Joe with doubles. But Miley would go 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, no home runs given up, 2 strikeouts, and 4 walks. The bullpen would shut it down for him, and the Reds would officially win the Ohio Cup. We would move on to the next day, and guess what, Joe? The Reds won a 1-0 game against a good Guardians team. It would be Spencer Steer's single driving in Will Benson after a big double that would mess up Slade Ciccone. But the big story of the day was we got our very first complete game shutout. I believe it was since 2023, maybe? Something like that. I can't remember exactly what the date was. But Andrew Abbott, his first of his career after he had a rough start in his last one. He gives up 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, a little over 100 pitches. He was dominant, Joe, and it was awesome to see. The Reds did scatter some hits, but they were not really able to break through. And even though things got a little dicey there at the end, he gave up a walk and a hit there in the 9th, Joe. Terry Francona let him stay in. Almost looked like Carlos Santana hit a home run to end it, but Will Benson was able to keep it there. And then the Reds would go on to lose 11-2 on the Wednesday getaway day. Ellie would hit a big home run. TJ Friedl would continue to be smoking the ball. Lodolo had one of his, weird starts that he just kind of has. 3 1/3 innings. 5 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, gave up a big home run as well. And then Joe Lasorsa, who I didn't realize that Brent Suter was on the bereavement list for this, was called up into action and got lit up. And the Reds would not be able to come back from this one, Joe. So either way, the Reds finished the season series 5-1 against, again, a pretty solid Guardians team. And this got them to a game over 500. And I think you and I were both very excited, very happy about the way that this series went, as it felt like they were kind of defeating some demons to a certain degree with some of the way that they were playing.
A little bit, yeah. I think they kind of just gutted out that Tuesday game where they won 1-0. Some of those games we usually lose. We lose 2-1, but goodbye Abbott to help us get that win. He's been incredible this year, as we talked about. It was the first complete game, I think, since Wade Miley's no-hitter. I think it was
against that team.
2020. Yeah,
that was 2021.
Yeah, 2021. And yeah, the starting pitching is really carrying us. I have to give props to Wade Miley after I said I can't, in good faith, pick him to win that game. He wasn't maybe the reason we won that 7-4 game on Monday, but he gutted it out. He I think he did give us enough innings where it's like, okay, he ate some innings, but he also didn't blow the game. It was like kind of that nice middle ground. If he wasn't incredible, but he did his job, and that's what got us the win. I'm totally okay with losing that game 11-2 after you win two games. It's some of the sometimes it looks like us, like the Guardians were kind of look like us from past, where it's like, oh, we score 11 runs in a game, we win one game in a series, and we lose the other two. But that's a good. We talked about they're not like the greatest team, but that's a good win. Probably going to be, I would say, a playoff team. The AL Central is very tough to figure out right now. We're going to talk about the Twins here in a little bit, and obviously the Tigers after that recap as well. But this is a good win for the team, and I think it was exactly what they needed in terms of getting things going. Not that obviously the Diamondback series had started it, but like they have guys, whether it's Terry Francona or Will Benson, whoever else, are going up against a former team who would just step up when they play them. And I don't know if you've heard some of the radio broadcast or the TV broadcast of the Guardians, Rob, but they do not like when Will Benson or some of these former Guardians do good things against their team. So it's really funny to watch some of those. I think the Reds Daily had him on Twitter. So a lot of fun that those guys are stepping up against a former team. And yeah, there is some doubt about whether guys like Will Benson are good against any other team in the league at this point. But he does provide a role. And he did really well in this series and in the last series against Cleveland.
And I believe he was the winner of the MVP or whatever for the Ohio Cup, too. So good for him. I probably would have given it to Andrew Abbott, but he did have like 4 home runs or whatever, and carried pretty hard in that one series, but didn't do much in the second series. Well, I don't know. Actually, he got the double. I'm wrong. Ignore me. We'll move on. We had the Tigers, Joe, starting on Friday, and it was a very close game. It was a 2-2 game for the Reds. Nick Martinez really had pitched very well, but he got into the sixth, got into some trouble, and could not get out of it. Scott Barlow would come in and not be able to hold it down either. Taylor Rogers, Ian Gibaut, Brent Suter, it was just a cavalcade of runs that came for this very solid Tigers team. The Reds would try to bring it back a little bit there in the ninth. Elly De La Cruz would start his home run streak, or I guess get his second game of it in this game. TJ Friedl with another big home run as well. The Reds would ultimately drop, though, 11-5, and it felt like, man, just scratch one. Just scratch one out here, and we'll be happy. And the Reds did just that, Joe. The Reds would go on to bring it right back against the Tigers, 11-1. It was a hit parade for us. Stevenson with a grand slam, Elly De La Cruz with another big home run, Steer with a home run, Matt McLain with a big home run. Brady Singer pitched well against his former division. He would go 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. The walks are killing him a little bit. That's the only way he gave up a run was 2 walks back to back. And then 4 Ks. Ashcraft, Santillan, and Lyon Richardson yet again. A name I think we still need to talk about a tiny bit more at some point. He came in and got the job done again. Then it came to the Sunday game, and this was potentially the most, I don't know, not important, but just it was a good sign. They played such a great game. The Reds would go down. They would battle back. The Reds would go down again. They would battle back and then take the lead ultimately at the end. Elly De La Cruz with the big 2-run home run to kind of cap it off. Your guy, Santiago Espinal, had his best game in about a month. 3 hits and 4 at-bats there. Gavin Lux with 2 hits. Elly with 3. Matt McLain is starting to heat up a little bit. That average finally creeping up to 200. Tyler Stevenson with a big hit as well. Wade Miley would come in and shut down one of the best offensives in baseball. 5 innings pitched, only 2 runs on 4 hits given up, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Both of his runs given up were on solo home runs. Ashcraft would struggle a little bit, but the team would pick him up. Pagan would get the hold. Santillan would get, well, what would have been a save had there been even one less run. And the Reds got to one of the best relievers in baseball in Will Vest as well. They would take advantage of the multiple errors that the Tigers would have. And Joe, they went 4-2 in a week that you and I were praying for 3-3. So it was a great series for the Reds against the Tigers.
Yeah, I think this specifically was a good way that they could show they could handle adversity. They lost that first game, obviously 11-5. They were able to win their first rubber match in a series since June 2023, which is just
Wild.
like we talked about last week. Statistically, like impossible. Like that cannot happen in baseball the way things are. Even if you're the Colorado Rockies this year, so that's crazy. I really do like how we kind of like beat those demons. Maybe we'll come back and lose the next rubber match, but I think it's just getting over the hump against such a good team is good too. This team historically has shown that like for some reason we can beat good teams. Like the couple 2 years ago, we beat the Dodgers and the Braves, and we lost to like everyone else. And that really, I mean, we fueled our little push in June or July, well, 2 years ago. But this was a good series. This is a really good baseball team. They don't have the star power that a lot of other teams have, other than Tarek Skubal, but they're a good team, and then like AJ Hinch has really turned them around with how they play. And I really like that we were able to win this game and even come back in that last game in the series too. I think our first win, maybe second win after trailing after 6 innings and coming back. So that was the biggest thing for me. Was it's not just that we beat the Tigers in the series, but we also slayed some demons in the process. We have such a good opportunity now because of what they did against these tough teams to move forward and even make a push towards the playoffs. They're still out of the playoffs pretty by a decent margin right now for being so early in the season, but they can keep on pushing and get things done. And if they start to figure out how to take care of business against teams like we've lost series to like the Pirates, we've lost series to the White Sox, we've lost series to the
Marlins.
Marlins. Yeah, like if we start figuring out those and just even flip that and make a 2-1 series instead of 1-2 or getting swept, um, excuse me, 1-2 making it 2-1, like that really does flip the season on its head. And you know we have an opportunity to do that before the All-Star break when we get those easy teams, the Marlins and Rockies, like we talked about. But we do have some tough games coming up this next week, next 2 weeks specifically. But yeah, that was the big thing for me, Rob. It wasn't anything. Yes, there were players who stood out to me over this stretch. Ellie obviously had a good week. My guy Espinal yesterday had a good game. We have guy TJ Friedel still killing the ball. But it was more just that we were able to overcome adversity in terms of this Tiger series and beat a team that's very, very good.
Yeah, and I mean, the Reds should be proud of themselves because the Tigers had been beating everybody. I think they had won like multiple series in a row, and it was interesting listening to the broadcast because they had two Reds guys and then a Tigers guy, and it was interesting as well. They picked Brantley for it, which I loved. I thought he vibed pretty well with the other guy. This Reds team is really still not even at their best right now, which is what's interesting. You're still missing Hunter Green. You're still missing Austin Hayes. You're still missing that fifth pitcher, whoever that could end up being, although it looks like it might be Wade Miley if you need. Well, I guess sixth pitcher technically might be Wade Miley. So you're getting Marte back here relatively soon as well. So, the Reds are, I think, starting to figure some things out. But we don't want to get too high on them yet. It was it was an awesome week. It was an awesome last 2 weeks. They are 2 games above 500. I'm gonna give everybody a little bit of a breather here, but the Reds are still tied for third, which this NL Central has been an, I think, more competitive division than many thought. The Cardinals went on a run for a little while there. They are starting to fall back to earth. We'll talk about them here in a second. The Brewers continue to kind of just claw their way there, and the Cubs are one of the best teams in baseball, mostly because of their bats. So it'll be interesting to see when that team goes in a collective slump if they are able to kind of get over that hill. But if you're wondering, the Reds are officially 7 games back of the Chicago Cubbies, but they are only 3 games back of the wild card position here of the Padres, who they will be facing here in about 2 weeks, Joe. So the Reds have been playing good baseball. There's no doubt about it. They've been playing some of the best baseball in MLB baseball right now. I believe that they are only the Astros, the Rays, the Rangers, and the Red Sox have had more or equal wins in the Giants as the Reds over the last 10 games. So good stuff there. Let's get into some quick injury updates. Noelvi Marte is targeting June 20th before the All-Star break, but an MRI has to show one more time that he is good to go. They said he'll resume baseball activities on the 20th, to be clear. So a couple days from now is the hope for him. I think their goal is before the end of the month to have him back. Carson Spires, we finally got a new update on as well. He's continuing to get rehab. but did do a second bullpen very recently, and it seems like there's a chance he may be ready should the Reds need him by the time that, well, he would be ready. Austin Hayes is day to day, not the update we were hoping. We really thought there was a chance we were going to see him in this Detroit series. Sounds like he is trying to battle through an injury, and the Reds are just saying no. So respect for him to trying to get out there, but deep bone bruises can be really obnoxious, so we'll have to see how long that lingers, but it's good to know that he's at least day to day and they haven't moved him back onto the IL. Lastly, Hunter Green, the latest update, Joe, is they're hoping to have him back around the All-Star break. Look, if they could get those two hitters in Green back, I think by the All-Star break, especially if they can do it before that, well, what's going to be all important, Marlins Rockies series, or 6 or 7 games, whatever it ends up being. This team's could be in a very good position by that point. If they can just keep battling, stay a couple games above 500, get to that point, and win 5 of 6 or 6 of 7, then you're really, really cooking with gas, as they like to say. So, any thoughts, real quick, on these injuries?
No, it's impressive that we're getting all this done with arguably, it's 2 of our 5 best players, Hunter Green and Austin Hayes. That's awesome. As you said, we want to stay in it enough for the Reds to make a move. We'll talk about whether they will or won't later, but it's good that we're doing this. It does show the potential of this team, even without some of their best players. When these guys come back, obviously other guys might be hurt by that point, but can we put it all together? Can we finally become the team that we think we can, which is, for me, it's making this postseason as a wild card team. I don't know if we'll be able to catch the Cubs, but let's stay in the race here. And the problem is, this race will get tougher because the NL West is so good this year, and mostly because the Rockies stink. But we have 3 playoff teams from the NL West going to happen this year right now, and then the Phillies, who just have obviously a good payroll and a really good team as the wild card team. So staying above 500 will be important more so. I think you could say in past years staying at 500 or below 500, just within striking distance of 500 is a good thing to do. But getting these guys back is important because we probably need to be 3 or 4 games above 500 really be where we want to be based on how good of records that these teams already have. And again, it stinks that they have the Rockies to play, who are just historically bad. And, this is just they're getting some free wins, just like we saw with the AL Central we talked about last year with the White Sox. The White Sox are a little bit better this year. So that's what's going to make things tough, is that they get those games against the Rockies and we do not.
Yeah. And we'll get them one more time at least. So hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that, but it's still going to be, a little bit tougher to say the least. But let's move on to some trades and moves. The Reds made a little bit of noise, I would say. Nothing insane, but they traded for Brian Van Bell for cash considerations. Maybe that was the money we had for Austin Wins. Glad they used it, I guess. But he got instantly moved to AAA Louisville. Most of that was just a depth thing. Same with Ryan Velade. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's either that or Velade. And they claimed him off of waivers from St. Louis and instantly got optioned as well to AAA. I believe Brian Van Bell is 28. Velade is 26. So they're not guys that you'll see unless if injuries really start to mount up. The bigger part of this was that Jacob Hurtubise got designated for assignment. I don't think anybody's going to pick him up. Most likely at least, but it really truly feels like the days of Jacob Hurtubise being with the Reds, doing some fun and speediest things are over. But that was really all they had going on this week. You gonna miss Hurtubise, Joe?
A little bit. The story was cool that he had, with Army and everything, but no, not on this team. I think we need more contributors. This is an interesting moves to make, I think. I wonder if the Brian Van Bell stuff started with maybe the Red Sox and Giants trade that we'll talk about here soon too. Of they're getting a ton of pitchers and a couple pitchers and prospects for Rafael Devers, and they're just oh, well, this guy's 28 in AAA, and he's actually pitched pretty well this year. So only 12 games pitched too, so it's obviously just a short stint, but maybe they're just we don't have enough room for him anymore. Let's just get rid of him. So maybe it'll be a good move just value wise. But again, it's one of those things where it's you have to do more than just this. It's cool that you use some of the cash you have now, but like this can't be the total answer. So let's see what they do, and talk about whether they're gonna make a trade here or not.
Yeah, and I think that this plays into it perfectly. Apparently, Nick Krall was on MLB Network, talked about a few different things, including a potential Ellie extension. The only news of that is they didn't get it done. Looks like the Reds at least approached him and Matt McLain this year, from the sounds of it, to kind of discuss if that was a possibility. The one thing I will give Reds hope for before we get into the negatives is if Ellie can play through or make it through most of this season, he will get Super 2 status, most likely, which means that the Reds would be able to hold on to him through another season, which would be great for us, obviously. And hopefully, Scott Boras doesn't come in and try to ruin that in some weird way. But, the Reds would definitely appreciate it. But here is the quote from Nick Krall on whether there's a specific need for the Reds at the deadline. Now, we are well away from the deadline, Joe. Well over a month away. But still, the one thing that you can always have is extra pitching depth. I think everyone is looking for extra pitching depth. For us, it's about getting guys back from injuries. It's about getting Hunter Green back, getting Austin Hayes back, getting Noelvi Marte back. If we can get some guys back and some guys healthy, it's going to add some thump to our lineup as we go through the next couple of months and we get some guys back. It's right now a wait and see on whether on where we are, and if there's another injury or two down the road, we have to patch. I think that's what we're looking at. I think we should just call this the getting guys back, or some guys back, or a guys back, speech response, Joe. Give me your initial thoughts on it. I definitely have some, but I'm curious as to where you're at with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the comments saying this is taken out of context, but let me give some context for Nick Krall. You've been in charge since 2018, and you've put 0 winning baseball teams on the field. We haven't made the playoffs other than the COVID year, and that doesn't count because everyone fucking made the playoffs that year, and that's whatever. This is stupid in a bunch of ways. Again, if he's saying that, yes, we do want to see what we have once everyone gets back healthy, that's fine. You have time before the trade deadline to do that, right? Like, we have a month and a half until the trade deadline. That's perfectly fine. See where you're at with the standings, see how the NL West is doing, like I just said. But you haven't put that winning team out there, and we have some massive holes. And the thing he says is pitching depth. I don't like, because I would rather just bring up Chase Burns and have him pitch, because I don't want to give up assets to go get more starting pitchers when, yes, there's a little bit of a lull in terms of, like, yes, Chase Burns is there. Wade Miley's done fine for now. I don't think we expect that to keep up. After him, because Chase Petty hasn't pitched that well, it's kind of a little bit of a lull, but I don't want to put in resources to getting more starters when there are glaring holes on this team that need to be addressed pretty immediately. And I was going to talk about this at different points, but I feel like maybe now is the best way to put it. Our bullpen ERA is 4.1. We are 20th in the league. You do not make the playoffs with that stuff. It needs to get better. You can say we want guys to come back. You can say we want Luis May to come up, and that can help. We can say, hey, we want to move Nick Martinez to the bullpen and bring up Chase Burns once Hunter Green gets here. Like, or move Wade Miley to the bullpen. I still think you need to go get another arm. Like, this bullpen has been leaky for a while now. I would love a star bullpen pitcher that we can just rely on. It's a bunch of, like, workman-like guys. I appreciate that, but you need someone who's going to be a star, a closer, whatever you might call it, and just help us get some outs late in the games. We have Spencer Steer and Matt McLain, who, while doing better, I'll give them credit, are still really hurting this lineup, not just in the fact that the batting averages are low. Obviously Steer's at a minus 0.5 WAR, and Matt McLain is 0.2 WAR, negative 0.2 WAR. These guys are top 4 in at-bats for our team. Like, these guys are supposed to be key players, and we're giving them enough at-bats that they are key players. Now, go look at their splits, if you can, in between when we have wins and losses, and they are the problem. Like, it's like, I think Spencer Steer is like 250 in wins or like something like that, and won something in losses, and Matt McLain is like 230 in wins and 180 in something in losses, and it's like that's not good. So we have those holes in the lineup. I would say, hey, yes, for right now, those guys playing is fine, especially because we're winning, and they are playing a little bit better. But how much longer can you let this go on where it's like, for Matt McClain's case, it'll be one good week and then one bad week when he's right back to where he started. So he's up to 191. That's great. Spencer Steer's playing a lot better as of late as well. But that says to me is we need a bat, Rob. Like it's not like singling them. I know I'm singling them out. It's more just, hey, we have holes in our lineup right now. We put Matt McClain back up near the top of the order and ended up working out this week with a couple hits, but we need to go get bats. When we have guys like that who are top 4 on our team at bats, that cannot be the case if you want to make the playoffs. If you want to be a good playoffs team, it is incredible what we're doing with how bad of a bullpen we have and how streaky of an offense we have and how many at bats we're tossing away. And everyone on Red's Twitter wants to say, oh, it's Connor Joe or Santiago Espinal or we have these guys at the top 4 in at bats who are like, I get that they're young and we're supposed to like them and want them for the future, but if we're trying to win now, we need to go get more bats to help this lineup and move those guys down the lineup, give them less at bats, and see how that goes. If they continue to keep on figuring it out, like they're starting to slowly creep up, then that's fine. But there are way too many holes right now to say, hey, we're just going to wait and see what we have and fill patches with that. When we have injuries, fill patches, because this team was probably good enough to make the playoffs from the start. We haven't patched a lot of the injuries we've had so far, so that's just going to leave us in a part where we're just going to fill a leaky hole, and we won't get to our full potential. So that's why I have a problem with it. It's the context of, hey, Nick Krall, you can't keep on saying these things when you've never put a winning baseball team on the field. You've been with the organization since 2003. You've been a main decision maker for the last 10, 15 years. You've been the decision maker for the last 7 or 8 years. That's what's kind of stinks here. So I'm very upset by these comments. I don't really care what the context is. We're not signing some of these young guys to long-term deals. So it's not like the money's tied up for the future yet. And we're wasting possibly the best pitching staff we will ever have in terms of starters. And Ellie, when he's a young star and possibly pushing up towards a superstar. So that was a long-winded way to saying, I don't like what he's saying. We have tons of holes to fill. The way he wants to address it, even if we do address it, is a bad decision. And that I don't have much faith in this front office. I never really have, but I don't have much faith in this front office if that's the kind of talk we're going to have right now when we're actually showing signs of life. And it's like, hey, why don't we say, yes, we are in the market. We might be looking for a bat, especially we have Rafael Devers going for like a used can of tuna. It's crazy. Like I know the contract's big and like that's a big part of it, but like you can't tell me there's guys out there that you could get pretty cheap to help this team win. And Rafael Devers is like a guy that like I would love the Reds to have. They'll never pay the salary, but like if we could have gotten him for Jordan Hicks and Kyle Harrison and like one prospect, fuck it, yeah, I'm all in on that. So, sorry, I'm all you talk here now, but it's that was my big takeaway. Is like that this is like the franchise that does not want to win. There's definitely problems with ownership not wanting to, but there's also problems with Nick Krall at this point saying that stuff. I know he's trying to maybe keep people's expectations down, but when the results have been the same the last 7 or 8 years when he's been in charge, it just can't be that way.
So I think you made a lot of great points. I'm going to start with this one before I get into his words. When Garrett Hampson is your final guy on your bench right now, you have room. You have room for at least one more person, right? Like if Garrett Hampson is your guy who's down in AAA, who comes up for an injury, great. And I know it's technically what it is with Hayes and with Marte, but it's just there's just not enough there for me, Joe. And I think the bigger issue I have with this is I think that this is a very realistic expectation to put out there for fans. I understand that that's frustrating. But if I'm a player and you just came off a huge win, you know, you're playing well, you've beaten 2 good teams in a row, and you see this, bro, like what? Like these are the kind of reasons why players like Ellie want to go other places, is because I understand the Dodgers have apparently an infinite payroll. I understand that even the Red Sox getting rid of Devers, like they still have a ton of money left, right? The Yankees have a ton of money. The Cubs have a ton of money, blah, blah, blah. There's something to be said about the fact that you can still, if you're smart, you can still have a very good baseball team. Look at what the Rays do every single year. And I know they haven't won a World Series in a while, right? Or even been to one, I should say. There's just something to be said about going out and saying this live, right? And I just think that he needs to be, I think, a little bit more careful with his wording, where it's like, yeah, if he had answered with, is there a specific need at the deadline? Yes, there's a specific need at the deadline. We are going to see where the team is going. right now with this, but they're playing well, and we're really proud of them. Bam. Answer is done. Everybody's sitting there like, yeah, he's non-committal, but at least the players are like, okay, it is on us to get this done. And I know he says, like, where we're at. And I do get that, yes, Austin Hayes is going to come back. Hunter Green is going to come back. And they're going to be so much better. I mean, those are, I think, like 2+ win WAR players there by themselves. I think it's like a closer to 3. Combined 3 WAR, right? Even though LV Marte is probably another. So you're getting almost 5 WAR back in just injuries alone. But, dude, that's not how you win. And they have the payroll flexibility to do it, even if they're trying to be cheap. That's what's wild. When we got the Votto contract officially off the books, that was an extra $25 million freaking dollars that you can spend on other things. And even if you just go and get a rental, whatever, there's guys that I don't think they want to lose in this system. And I think that's the bigger problem right now, Joe, is that there are guys they don't want to trade. I was looking at the prospect list and, I think they're afraid that Sal Stewart might be turning into something. If you're really not sure if Tyler Stevenson's going to be the guy past the next 2 years, right, which it doesn't seem like they're super sure about that, then you keep Alfredo Duno, right? Like, there are things that you need to do. Like, I don't want to lose, Rhett Lauder or Chase Burns either. But the whole goal is to win a World Series. If you got to give up a little bit to be able to go out and make a run here, right, with a team that I think could be good enough if everybody's healthy, why don't you give up some of the maybe middle tier prospects, right? Why don't you maybe ship off Jake Fraley or Will Benson or somebody like that who, for other teams might be a good, spot. Like, I don't know. Like, there are teams that are going to have to rebuild, right? You need guys to plug in and take a chance on. The Reds have a ton of those guys, and that's kind of been their problem. Trade maybe a guy like that and a prospect or two, right? And go get yourself a good bat that you can put in the lineup every day. Like you said for the Rafael Devers thing. Like, that would be comparable to trading Brady Singer, Will Benson, and 2 prospects. Are you going to tell me that you wouldn't do that for Rafael Devers right now, Joe? Like, that's a no-brainer, in my opinion. I mean, like, that's just ridiculous. So I'm giving you guys out there the context that you need to hear about that kind of a trade. If that's what bats are going for, I know it's going to be a little higher because they probably won't have the albatross of a contract that Devers just signed. But if that's the cost, dude, sign me up. I am down with that. You don't even have to ask me twice. But I guess that's just not what we're going to do yet. I think this freaking team is going to have to be 5 games above 500. I think they're going to have to be in a freaking wild card spot. And I think they're going to find like, okay, well, we've got a good enough chance to make the playoffs at this point so that we can make our money back. And that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nick Krall's job security is based on the fact that the owners like him or something, or he maybe makes money for the team, but it's not based on putting winning teams out there. And, like, you can use the excuse of small market teams, but like you said, Rob, there are teams like the Rays who do it well, or even the A's historically, even though they're not as much right now. There are ways to win outside of just spending a big payroll. And this is like, we can prep to start paying players if we're not going to sign these long-term extensions and not have money tied up. We have possibly a salary cap coming to baseball soon, I would say. It seems to be getting more and more momentum as of late. So there's going to be more players available. You're going to have you're going to have a minimum number of money you have to spend as well. It's going to be a minimum salary cap as well. But when you make bad decisions, like paying Nick Martinez $21 million a year, and he's been fine, not worth $21 million this year, but he's been fine. The highest paid player on the team, that you have to cover that up with making trades and making, you can't just say, oh, well, maybe he'll figure it out. That just doesn't happen. Like, he's been fine. Again, he'll be a solid contributor for us. And then you go down the list of like our top paid players. Jamer. Okay, messed up on that one. You have to go make up for that. You can't just sit here and wait for young guys to come in and get things done. And this is like, we talk about it like we've made some bad investments over the last couple of years, several years, I should say. Mike Moustakas, obviously Jamer being another one. Jamer was coming off a year where he was hitting like 251. It wasn't like he was some amazing player when we got him. It was 2 years removed from batting 217. So there was the possibility of him batting, somewhere in the 200, 180s or whatever his first lifetime with the Reds or whatever it ends up is right now. That's like there are some bad things going on. We got Taylor Rogers. Like I'm not sure he's worth 12 million. Like there's so many things where if you make those bad deals, if those guys don't work out like you think, you have to go give up some of these prospects. And I get that we want to be attached to them because we have some guys we don't know if they've worked out yet. But if that's the case, hey, maybe trade Matt McClain. I'm not saying I'm giving up on him. I'm not. But if you're going to have Edwin Arroyo down there, like those two things are redundant. Arroyo could play second base for us. Trade Marte too. Arroyo could play third base. If you don't want to trade Arroyo or some of these other young guys, then trade someone who's up here now and bring Arroyo up. I don't think they're necessarily ready, but we have so many like redundancies there where it's like I'm excited to see a lot of our young guys who are in the minor leagues come up and supplement this team. But at the same time, if we have a chance to go get a player who can actually help us win, we have to take advantage of this right now. So I'm with you. I think it's more about they just want to be seen as like winning. It's the same thing with the Bengals too. It's small market shit all the time. They would always want to be seen as winning the trade or winning the deal or winning everything. We got these guys on such a good deal. And that's, to be honest, it works sometimes. We got Hunter Green on a very team-friendly deal for how good he is. Obviously, the injuries kind of hurt that a little bit, but I don't care about getting the better end of the deal. I just want to win one time. I want to go to the postseason for the first time in 11 years or whatever now. So that's what's so frustrating about those comments. And again, it's like if we have these misses, you got to make up for it in some way. And we seem like we have more misses in free agent signings than just about any other team too. It's crazy.
And here's what I'm going to say. If there are teams like the Red Sox who are selling, Joe, there's a guy named Jarren Duran who probably a lot of people have watched that Netflix documentary. But I'll tell you what, dude, this guy is like TJ Friedl. Imagine having two TJ Friedls in that outfield, Joe. You could basically just put two of them and put 5 freaking infielders at that point. I know you can't really do that. Well, you can, but not often. Like, there are guys out there that they can go get. I mean, I don't know if I'd love this, but like, they could go trade for a Nick Castellanos if they think they can get him on the cheap. And if the, Phillies end up needing pitching for some reason. They haven't really yet, but there are guys out there that I think will be available-ish, right? Who I think that the Reds can absolutely go out and try to get. I mean, like, Brent Rooker is another one. If the, A's are going to continue to fall off, we've talked about him. The Reds need a right-handed bat. This dude has hit 30 home runs, 39 home runs, 15 so far this year, right? He'd be tied or one behind Ellie, right? Like, and think about if he was in Great American Ballpark, how many freaking home runs he would have, right? Like, the dude hits for average. He walks. He strikes out a decent bit, but like, whatever. Like, he's a DH first base. Okay, well, the guys that we have who are also those right now are not getting it done, right? If the Reds really wanted to go all out in the Athletics were deciding that they just, I don't know, hate winning even more than we do, like, go out and get Lawrence Butler or something, right? Like, there are players that you can go and get who can make this team better, and you don't necessarily have to pay them a ton either, right? It doesn't always have to be about the payroll. That's the thing that I think pisses me off the most, Joe, is you can make smart moves and get good players who maybe didn't find their stride until they were like 26, 27 years old, and they're going to be good for you for about 2 years, and that's okay, right? Like, that's what they're doing with Austin Hayes already. Like, go get the bat that you need. Go get one more pitcher. You don't have to give up a ton of shit to do that. That's what's been frustrating to me. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to give up your top prospects. I really do not give two flying fucks. This is my first F-bomb on the freaking podcast, all right? I've been holding back. I'm heated right now. I do not give a shit if you do not feel like you can give up your 8th or lower ranked prospects, dude. Just do it. Seriously, just go and do it. Like, who cares? You're going to draft a guy who's going to take that guy's spot next year, in a couple of weeks even. Like, there's just no reason in my mind to where, unless if you are so deep that your prospects, 5 through 30 could be relatively interchangeable. That doesn't happen. That either means your, prospects are dog shit, or your prospects are really good, and then you can definitely afford to, because you don't have 30 spots on your rosters anyways. Like, pinpoint some guys you need to keep, right? If you just drafted Sammy Stafura, I think is his name, right? And you don't want to get rid of him, then you're going to have to get rid of Sal Stewart instead, right? If you don't want to get rid of Cam Collier, then that's fine. If you don't want to get rid of Alfredo Duno, because he's going to be your next guy coming up. And by the time that Stevenson's gone and Trevino's gone, it's going to be Duno. Then you don't give him up. That's fine, right? Like, but everybody else should be expendable. You should pick 4 to 5 guys you're like, I cannot live without. Edwin Arroyo right now. Dude, this guy's been top 5 prospect for the Reds for forever. I just looked today. He's not even out of Double A yet still, and he's only hitting like 280. All right? Dude, I really think Edwin Arroyo is going to be an awesome defensive player. I don't know if he will ever hit. Trade him. Get rid of him. Right? Just go get something for players. And it's not just, the last thing I'll say about this is, if you don't think that Edwin Arroyo is going to be better than Matt McLain or Noel V. Marte, then there is no spot for him on this team. Right? There's just there is no spot for him on this team. So you might as well get rid of him. Go get something and go get somebody who you can actually, do things with. Like, he's not going to be your bat that you can move to the outfield and he's going to be great or something like that. Like, it's frustrating, Joe, at this point for me to hear people talk about payroll when how much is Brent Rooker making? Do you know? I'm looking right now.
Top of my head, I do not know.
All right. Let's see here. Brent Rooker, and this is a very reasonable contract. Here you go, Joe. They bought out his arbitration eligible years. His biggest amount of money is going to be $22 million in 2030. Guess who else lines up with that perfectly when their arbitration is supposed to end? Ellie De La Cruz. Wow. You go get Brent Rooker to hit you 25 to 30 home runs. You pair him with Austin Hayes and TJ Fried on the outfield. And guess what? You have an above average outfield that can actually hit the ball, right? Or you just stick Rooker freaking at DH for the next 3 years, and the dude hits 30 plus home runs, drives in probably 85 to 100 RBIs every year, and you're like, wow, what did the Athletics get out of that? Edwin Arroyo, some middling prospect at 15, and a total shot in the dark guy? Congratulations. You are playing winning baseball, and you got it for a guy who you're paying less than freaking Nick Martinez this year. This man will make $1 million more. $1 million more than Nick Martinez will make. In his entire career, the most he will ever make is that $22 million. And hell, if the Reds suck by 2029, they can just trade him. Like, I'm sorry. It's so mind-boggling to me that this is such a misunderstood thing. And I'm only picking Brent Rooker because I think he would fit well with this team. He's a little on the older side, which I think is the reason why they wouldn't do this. But if you're just going to DH, we see DHs make it past 35 and continue hitting all the time. I'm done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was good. Yeah, I think the point about needing to go make a move is going to be interesting to watch, because do I think this team with a couple moves can be World Series contenders? No. Do I think they should try? Yes, because they just never do. And this could be a generational year for the trade deadline in my estimation. Not because there's some other factors, right? So you mentioned the Red Sox. They're reportedly Devers didn't want to play. Oh, after they got Trevor Story, he didn't want to move positions, all that stuff. But also their owners have some other interests other than the Red Sox and may not really want to put money into it. There's teams like, we're going to talk about the Twins a little bit. They have players who are over the hill, and I really don't think they're a very good team, even though they're in the wild card race in the AL. The Guardians, we just beat a lot of times, and they're right around 500 in the AL. The Orioles are having a really bad year, and their owners would love to save money and offload some of the older guys, especially because they have so many good hitters. Mentioned the Athletics. They got so much good offense. They scored 312 runs this season. Guys like Brent Rooker, guys like Jacob Wilson, who's hitting the ball pretty well. And not even just that. We have teams like, I think, that are, I wouldn't say out of the playoff mix in the NL, but like the Braves, 31 and 39, they're not making the playoffs. Are they going to want to offload guys? Like, even we talked about Alex Verdugo batting 255, positive WAR this year. That would help us, especially in different situations. Marcell Ozuna, 34 years old. Do they want to keep him, or do they want to save money and go spend it this offseason? So this really could be a year where trades are very available, especially because the market was just set with Rafael Devers. I think you said too much that you would have to go up and get Rafael Devers because the guys they gave up were
That is
bad.
true.
Jordan Hicks was bad
Yeah,
this year. So
Singer is a better pitcher than Hicks. I probably should have given more credit than that. But
yeah, and it's like I don't. So like yeah, the contract stinks and like you have to worry about that money. But like again, I don't really care about that either. So when you look at it that way, how many teams that have good players, like a lot of times we see like, obviously the White Sox, the Rockies, the Pirates are down there, but we see teams like that are in the playoff hunt will keep their players because they're trying to make the playoffs and everything. But this year there might be a little bit more teams that have real talent, like the Orioles and the Braves, who are like 6 games for the Orioles because the AL is a little bit worse this year, and 9 or 8 games for the Braves. If we get to the end of the month and they don't really make some progress on this, they might be selling. Why wouldn't we make a chance to go get Marcell Ozuna and really help this lineup? He's had a pretty good year for him. So
yeah,
there's plenty of guys out there. I think we can work the phones. We can make some trades. And yeah, would you be paying a little bit more for some of these guys? Sure. Did you save some money already with some of the trades and acquisitions you've done this year? Yeah. Should you go try to win when you have this young talent together? When for the most part, knock on wood, relatively healthy. We have Ellie, who's played every game this year after he came back.
Mm-hmm.
We have obviously some starting pitcher injuries, but who doesn't have those? So that's the thing I think is the most frustrating is like they can actually go make this team better this year, specifically with how the landscape of baseball is working right now, and they just maybe aren't gonna try. And I'm gonna be very upset if they don't get a bat. I mentioned one of my big takes before the season, hot takes before the season was that they were going to make a big trade before the deadline because there's a lot of pressure on Phil Castellini to win and whether he's going to be the next guy for the Reds, Reds CEO and everything. It doesn't seem like they're being aggressive to start. I hope they finish stronger, but they should at least get a bat and a bullpen arm, possibly 2 bullpen arms, possibly 2 bats. It just help this team. It might not cost as much as you would think with the way the trade's going.
the Reds have a total payroll of about 116 million right now. That's nothing, dude. You can bump those are rookie numbers, Joe. Bump that up. All right, we'll move on. Quick, very brief shout out to Wade Miley for getting it done here, Joe, over the last 2 starts. I don't know if I want to see him go more than 4 starts. I'm going to just be totally truthful with you. I'm hopeful that if Chase Burns has 2 more good starts and the Reds do not feel like Hunter Green is going to be able to make this happen, then I would like to just see Burns come up because the starting ERAs are starting to balloon a bit. I think Lodolo will kind of bring his back down. Anything below a 4, guys, to be fair, is very solid. I know that there are some people who may disagree with me on that, but generally speaking, when I'm looking at a pitcher, if their ERA is below a 4, then that's good enough for me. Martinez has battled his way all season, but he's below a 4. Lodolo's still well below a 4. Obviously, Abbott, Green, they're below 4s. Singer's at a 4.34, but his biggest problem, in which is weird, is that he's just walking a ton of guys. If he finds that control again, and even lessens his strikeouts a little bit more, I think he can get that down below there as well. Wade is really only still ballooned by that first relief appearance that he had, where he gave up 4 runs. So, the Reds are going to find a way to get it done in that regard. They just need to be able to, make a decision here soon. But good on Wade Miley. Unless you got anything else, we'll move on to the Twins. Excuse me.
Yeah, the good for him to bear down on that last start of the week too that he had into. He was named in the Tower Skaggs report, and obviously had a lot of probably some thoughts going on in his head. Obviously, we don't really know all the details of that quite yet, but the Tower Skaggs passing away was very sad several years ago, and him being named just has to be tough to focus, and he was able to get the job done. So good for him for being able to do that. Hopefully, like you said, I don't want him here maybe long-term as a starter, but for 2 games, he has had pretty solid games for what I expected.
Yeah, I thought he was barely going to be able to get above 90, but he was throwing 94 at different points in the last start, so good on him. The Reds are playing the Twins, Joe. The Reds will be sending out Andrew Abbott on Tuesday. By the way, this is not a Monday game, Tuesday game. Abbott versus David Festa, Nick Lodolo versus Bailey Ober, and then Nick Martinez versus Chris Paddock. I'm going to give you a couple little stats here, Joe. The Twins are 5-9 in June, one of the worst records in baseball during this time period. 3 of those wins have come against a horrific A's team, one that has been struggling mightily. And the Reds are tied for second in interleague play with 15 wins right now, which is really cool. They are 15-12 at the moment. Joe, walk me a little bit through what you're seeing with this Twins team. One that, like you said, I think a lot of their bats are kind of over the hill. We're starting to see it. We will see old friend Ty France, who's been having a good season. But this team does not, despite them, as you pointed out, being in the wild card race, they're a game above 500. We are we are statistically a better team than them right now. So talk me through what you're seeing with them.
Yeah, this is a team that I think they were the beneficiary. I think a lot of the AL Central was beneficiaries of how bad the White Sox were last year. They don't score a ton of runs for a playoff team. I do think that, Carlos Correa's 30, Byron Buxton's 31. I'm not sure they have enough juice to really make a run. I would say maybe a reset would be good for this franchise, and maybe trading guys like Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa. Correa has a 0.2 WAR in 60 games played. That's not what you're paying him for at all. He used to be so good. I get that. Maybe trade him to someone, get some value back. Their pitching, I think, has been better than I thought it would be. We have Joe Ryan's been pretty good for them, 2.93 ERA. Pablo Lopez, 2.82. Now, good that we avoid both of those pitchers, too. But yeah, I think that opens up a lot for us. I think we can avoid those big paid bats that Byron Buxton is leading them in almost every offensive every offensive category. So just avoid him, and I really don't think they have much pop in the rest of their lineup. How nice would it be, Rob, to have Ty France back for cheap at this rate? How well he's playing. Leads the team in hits for the Twins. This is a winnable series. They're a solid team, like I said. I do think they're over the hill and should reset, but they're a solid team, I'll say. 2-8 in their last 10, though, and I think we can win the series. I'm going to go 2-1 here, Rob.
Yeah, their bullpen is the issue. They have a good bullpen. Johan Duran has been pretty solid. Luis Varlin's been good. Danny Colombe, I believe is how his name is pronounced. 22 games with a .49 ERA. So the Reds are going to have to get after these guys if, these starters, which the Reds have been generally doing better against starters than they have against relievers, which is how they used to play. But now this year it's been, a little bit different. I think if you can get an early lead, so you don't have to worry too much about their back end of that bullpen, I think you're going to be in a good position. I'm going to pick 2-1 as well. I'm really close to going 3-0, but there's just something in me that feels like we'll drop a game here. Maybe Lodolo's going through that stretch where he has like 2 or 3 bad starts and figures it out later. But if Abbott, Lodolo, and Martinez can be what they've been all season, I think I'm going to take Abbott over. He might be a little more tired. I bet he only goes like 5 innings in that start on Tuesday since he had to go so long. But the off day helps a little bit with that. So hopefully he's had a little bit more of a break in there. But I really don't see any reason why we couldn't go 2-1 against them. I would be very excited about that, Joe. We'd be knocking on the door of 40 wins in June. Which I think you and I are both very, very happy about personally. I will say, guys, there is a total potential for 3-0, but it'll really depend on whether or not this lineup can continue to hit the way that they have. Let's move into the Cardinals, a team that we have historically struggled with, but this version of the Reds seemingly has had their number. Brady Singer will go up against Andre Palante. Wade Miley versus Miles Mikolas. A lot of M's, a lot of Miles in those ones. And then Andrew Abbott will get his second start of the week against Matthew Liberatore. They are 4-10. That's why I said one of the worst teams in baseball were the Twins. The Cardinals are 4-10 in June. I believe they either have the worst record or very close, because even the Rockies have been winning some games lately, Joe. I don't know if you've been seeing that or not. They are randomly 13-12 against left-handed pitching, which I believe is tied for the second most wins in baseball against left-handed pitching. They will get Miley and Abbott, at least as of right now, in those games. So we'll have to see It worries me a little bit about that, Joe. Specifically, just the fact that, we aren't going to be at home. We come home for this Twin Series very quickly, and then we head straight out to St. Louis, and then back home. But, it's a team that they are very streaky. I mean, I believe Brendan Donovan is hurt right now. Joe, you could tell me if I'm wrong on that, but he has been, arguably their best hitter. But, Ivan Herrera has played well. Who else am I looking at here? Mason Wynn has really started to figure it out a little bit. Alec Burleson. Like, they are hitting much better than they should be, and their pitching has held up, is the way that I would put it.
Yeah, they've come back down to earth, thank God, in June, because they were just outplaying their expectations. 3-7 over their last 10. You mentioned they've struggled in June. A team that, talent-wise, on paper, I don't see them as a playoff contender, really. But this is what the Cardinals do. They get more out of their talent than a lot of other teams. This is a team that, when he is batting, Brandon Donovan is batting first. He is much worse when he's batting third. He is a very, very good player. It's like a batting average difference of 42 points or something like that. So how
That's
they fit the lineup is going to be interesting here. He is going to be key in the series. He's not on the IL. I don't know if he's currently hurt, but he's not on the IL right now.
I saw he went in for an MRI for something, so maybe I missed that. But
maybe he could be on the IL today or something too. Who knows? But yeah, this is a team that I'm scared of because of the history with the Reds. But average bullpen. I don't really like their starters. The hitters do a good job, but can we out hit them is going to be the question. A little bit tougher series. I think I'll go 1-2 in this one, Rob. I don't want to say another 4-2 week as much as I would love to see that. I think having the Miley start be there hurts a little bit, and Singer as well. It's it's just like a bad rotation matchup at the end of it. So I'm going to say 1-2.
We are dodging Sonny Gray again and Eric Fetty, who has been pretty solid for them. Palante walks guys, but we always seem to struggle against him a little bit. I'm still going to go 2-1, Joe, and it's because, again, I think the bats are starting to kind of figure it out, and there's a good chance by this series, hopefully, that Austin Hayes will actually be back. So, if that's the case, I feel a little bit more confident about this. This Reds team seems to hit the Cardinals pretty well over these last few years. And they've hit at different points Mikolas, Palante, and Liberatore. I always forget which one it is. But either way, they've hit all three of them decently well in different starts. So I am going to go 2-1 here. I think Abbott, gives them a good shot to win. And I'll take a 50-50 shot on Singer and Miley against Mikolas and Palante, if I'm being honest with you. And their bullpen has been a little bit worse than even ours this year. So I'm going to take that. I believe it is. Maybe I'm not seeing statistically, but
yeah.
I was just looking at their guys, and I didn't see a whole lot, but maybe I'm wrong on that one.
ERA is ranks around 15th, 16th. We're around 20th.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure it's just a couple points. But my point is, I think that they're a very beatable team. I'm hopeful that they're going to be a very beatable team, and I think we need to win this series before we head into what will be a really tough Yankees and Padres home stretch. So I'm going 2-1 still. We're going to go 4-2. And, the Reds at that point probably have picked up a game or two. There's a chance there'll be a game or two out of the wild card there, Joe. With that in mind. And they would be what in my situation? They'd be 41-37, which would be awesome. I don't think any of us would be upset about that. So, yeah. Joe, it's been a good episode, but we always got to end with some wise words from you. Where are you at?
Got a couple of things to mention here. DraftKings put out, we are the only Major League Baseball team not to be swept this year, so that's nice.
Oh, man, I was thinking that today, too, and I didn't want to say it to jinx us.
Would have been nice if we would be at 43, 44 wins right now, because we haven't been swept, but instead we just go 1-2 against every bad team there is, and that's how it goes. On top of that, we have Austin Wynns hitting a home run for the A's. So again, give him up for cash considerations. Now,
Good for him.
oh, we don't know if we're going to use the cash considerations to go acquire people. Great. That's the same old. But keeping tabs on former Reds, just like we usually do. And then speaking of former Reds, Savannah Bananas were in town this weekend. Rob, we were not able to go. I think that's one of the things I would like to go to once in my life, but maybe after that I would not need to go see again.
Yes.
Seems like it's a fun time for friends. It seems like everyone had a good time, although Sean Casey did tear his hamstring on a walk. That banana ball, you get walked, you're able to run to first and even to second if you're able to. And he tore his hamstring. But Danny Graves was there, Bronson Arroyo was there, Todd Frazier was there, so good time for Cincinnati. They played 2 games here, Friday and Saturday, and you guys said would like to go one time. I don't know if that's my type of cup of tea for multiple times. It's a lot like the Harlem Globetrotters in basketball.
Yeah, I mean, they sold out big time too. Both games, from what I could tell too. Yeah, the Sean Casey one, I thought maybe he pulled it with the way that he was running, right? Like, and it just was. I couldn't believe that he ran out a walk like that. That was bad move, Sean. Bad move, Sean Casey. But you are the mayor, and we love you.
Hey, just one thing that my dad was talking to me about when we talked about this game. Sean Casey hit 300, a shoe-in to hit 300 for the Reds every year that he was with us. And he was a guy that I think people give up on because he was a first baseman who hit for average, not for power. People just don't like that. They want power numbers from the first baseman, and that's fair. Career 302 hitter. Possibly the slowest Red of all time, which is saying something. If he was actually average speed, I think his batting average probably goes up by 10 to 15 points. It's something we talked about. Maybe he's like a 315, 320 career hitter, which would be incredible. But, man, such a slow guy, but such a good hitter, and the mayor, awesome guy. So it's something we talked about. Thought it was relevant to bring up on the podcast because of how awesome he was in our, I guess, early years of watching the Reds, Rob.
Dude, those Reds teams had him, Adam Dunn at one point, and Jason LaRue. Just 3 incredibly slow players, but God bless them. That team could hit. They could hit. They could do nothing else, but that team could hit back in the day. There's no doubt about it. We love the mayor here. And, I think we'll wrap it up on that one, Joe. So, as always, we appreciate any feedback you guys have. We always love to hear your thoughts about the trade deadline and everything in the comments. But that is going to wrap it up for us, Joe. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.